Here's just a couple shots at Sean at his ATV training, which is a certificate he has to get to be allowed to ride legally at the state forest. So we did that on a Saturday. Then starting here, some pictures from Delaware State Forest, located in the Poconos, where he went for his first ride, really, that was other than in our backyard. So here's a couple clips from that. Right here, Sean's telling me that he'd prefer to lead the trail, and he wanted to head off in this direction. I told him that that trail was closed, but figured it was easier to just let him see that. So here we are, getting to the trailhead that Sean wanted to take. We took a look at the sign showing that it was in fact closed. So here we headed back on the proper trail and started our ride here. A couple of times Sean got a little bit ahead of me, but periodically at least he would look back to make sure I was still behind him. Here come the only other two people, I think, in the whole state forest that day. We ran across them a couple times. Fortunately, we were stopped or not going across a crossroad when they were coming. This is the beginning of the ride. Sean's doing a little weaving around some of the rocks and things. He was very conscious that his ground clearance was a lot lower than mine, and did a pretty good job avoiding jagged rocks that could kick up into his chain or into the center of his bike.
Follow me though, okay? Come here.
Here was a spot Sean wasn't too wild about going up. It was a little area off the main trail that was especially rocky, and you can't tell here, but it was kind of a steep grade, and I just wanted to see if he could navigate it. But he was a little bit concerned about the size of the rocks that he was rolling over. But eventually he tried, and he was okay.
It's a circle. It's just a circle.
really hard to
Brakes,
tell here, but
brakes the
this
whole way
was
down.
really
Brakes
steep,
the whole way down.
and I was a little worried about just sliding down the hill into him, so I let him go ahead by a little bit here, but I was a little bit nervous about him going down this hill.
You got it. Slow, slow. Brakes, brakes. You got it.
So Sean seemed a little annoyed at that last section, so here I noticed he kind of took off a little bit. Not that fast, but at 25 miles an hour on these trails, it feels, more like 40 or 45 with how bumpy they are. So this is what he really liked, was kind of these long straight runs. This was a really rocky area. We had to go pretty slow. But Sean didn't complain too much because I think he picked taking this trail, so he dealt with it pretty well. But there were some pretty big rocks he needed to definitely go around. This area here was really deep. I'm surprised actually that he made it through that area right there. It was pretty bumpy, but he didn't seem to be bothered by it too much. This section is where we actually got in a little bit of trouble, and I was definitely at the risk of getting stuck, which would have been a disaster if I couldn't get the bike out. But we ended up kind of backing off of this area, just mainly out of fear of getting stuck.
Maybe we shouldn't go through this. I don't know if mine can go through it. I think we should just turn around.
Let's see what's up here. Let's turn.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through here and come back up on this side. You just go back, okay?
So here I'm about to hit a puddle that is a lot deeper than it looked on the surface, and I was really lucky that I didn't get stuck right here because I went way down in this one. And that water got up pretty close to the top of my wheel, which is higher than they would recommend.
Hold on.
But I basically had to go back through it to get back to where Sean was.
Woo!
I was a little bit worried there because I didn't know exactly where we were or how far from the car.
I'll get you, I'll get you. I'll get you, hang on.
Sean also got stuck right here, and this was the only time he got stuck, but he wasn't too happy about it. Fortunately, it was just on dry ground, so we could drag it out.
No, you're right.
You want to tell me out with yours?
Sean.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you to just back out.
Okay.
Give it a little bit of gas. No, wait.
So Sean did pretty well here. He actually backed all the way back off this trail. You can't really tell, but some of those ditches were really deep, and there's just no way he'd be able to go through them. Now here's where we run into a little bit more trouble.
This way.
I had driven in this area one other time, but was not familiar with this part of the trail.
Okay.
And the signage was very bad. You can see some of the signs are on the ground. Some of the signs are for other state forests
I'm not sure,
that are
Sean.
adjacent
Hang on.
to Delaware State Forest. So we definitely didn't want to get into a different state forest. But it was really hard to read these trail signs, and there were a lot of roads intersecting here.
I think we want to. Hey, hang on a second.
So this was compounded a little bit by the fact that my gas was starting to get a bit lower, and there were thunderstorms reported for that day, so we were trying to get in and out of the park before them. So started to get a little bit worried about making sure we're heading in the right direction.
I'm not sure. Try to go back this way. Old farm. 48.
I knew the name of the trail that we wanted to be on, and generally you want to stick on the largest trails because they take you back to the trailheads, but it was really hard to tell with the signage. This sign in particular really confused me because it seemed to indicate the trail we wanted was up that hill, but that just didn't seem to make sense. So I figured maybe the sign just wasn't placed in a real great spot. Fortunately, here
I'm not sure.
we
Sean,
made the
go
right
this way.
decision, but a little bit of luck involved in that. Now at this point I'm feeling pretty good because I know this area.
Yep, Sean.
We got back to a section that I was familiar with. I could tell Sean was starting to recognize it, but I didn't really say anything because I wanted to see at what point he felt confident he was in the right area.
It's this way home.
But for me, this looking at these different trails is aligns with the metaphor of having your head on a swivel. At this point, I think Sean took a look at this area and he remembered this from the beginning of the ride, so
That way, right to the
I think he
car.
was starting to feel a little bit more comfortable at this point. And this is on the final trail back to the parking lot. Sean was going pretty quick. His little bike is pretty maneuverable and handles around some of the turns a little bit better. So I think he was feeling pretty good at this point. There was really only one other group out on the trail, so I felt pretty good about letting him go ahead. And here we are back at the car. We probably spent about 2 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours actually riding.
All right, good riding, Sean, baby.
How did I get stuck?
I don't know.